Hello and welcome to this video in which I will be explaining what A-Level Spanish is about, what it's like, and my experiences so far as a Year 12 student. A little bit about me: I do 4 A-Levels, Maths, Physics, Product Design and Spanish, and I do the exam called AQA for Spanish, so this video will be mainly focused on the AQA specification. However, what the A-Level is like is similar for all exam boards. I also achieved a grade 9 for GCSE Spanish. So, for the 2-year course, you will have 2 different textbooks covering the 12 subtopics. 6 of them you will study in Year 12, and the latter 6 in Year 13. This is what the Year 1 textbook covers. The first 3 topics, los valores tradicionales y modernos, el ciberespacio, and la igualdad de los sexos, come under aspects of Hispanic society, current trends. And the other 3 topics, la influencia de los ídolos, la identidad regional en España, and El Patrimonio Cultural, come under artistic culture in the Hispanic world. You will learn about the Hispanic world overall, so that's all the countries that speak Spanish, not only Spain. There is also a bit of new grammar that you will learn in this course, things like the subjunctive tense, the use of passive voice, using direct and indirect object pronouns. It is not too difficult because you will be taught it throughout the 2 years, and depending on your knowledge beforehand, you may have already covered parts of it at GCSE. This is the contents of the Year 2 book. The complexity of the topics definitely increases in the second year. The topics La Inmigración, El Racismo, and La Convivencia come under multiculturalism in Hispanic society. The other 3 topics, Jóvenes de Hoy, Ciudadanos del Mañana, Monarquías y Dictaduras, and Los Movimientos Populares, come under aspects of political life in the Hispanic world. Now, moving on to the exams. You will, just like any other A-level, sit the exams at the end of Year 13. There are 3 papers for Spanish. First of all, you have the listening, reading and writing paper. This is a 2-hour and 30-minute paper worth exactly 50% of your final grade. You can think of this paper as a combination of the reading and listening papers at GCSE. However, one of the biggest differences with this paper from GCSE is that for the listening questions, you are seated beside a computer, so you can actually control the audio completely yourself and repeat it as many times as you need, or pause it whenever you need. So the main difficulty becomes managing your time carefully and not spending too long on the listening questions because you need to leave time for the reading and translation section. Now, on the right is an example of one of the reading questions. The vocabulary will look tricky right now, but once you study the topics, you will learn so much new vocabulary that you will be able to answer these questions somewhat easily. But hopefully you can see that the layout of the questions aren't too different than what you are already familiar with from GCSE. The second paper is the writing paper. This paper consists of 2 40-mark questions, one on a book you will study, and another on another book or movie you will study. These are the texts and films that your school can pick from for you to study. I study La Casa de Bernarda Alba and Volver. This section of the A-level is quite similar to GCSE English literature. You of course have to learn quotes, learn about context, and all that fun stuff that comes with literature. Despite me only getting a 6 at literature in GCSE, I don't find this section too difficult. It all depends how much you enjoy the text you're studying. The literature section is much harder to self-study, so having good teachers is also very important. If you are considering this A-level, then I would recommend finding out who the teachers are that will be teaching it. It is very common to have 2 teachers for each subject in A-level. Finally, the oral exam. This exam, like GCSE, is conducted a few weeks before the other exams. There is a photo card that is worth 12.5% of the entire A-level. There is also a research project. IRP stands for Independent Research Project, which is a 2-minute speech you have to prepare and give during the exam, and the examiner will ask you questions about the topic of your speech for about 10 minutes. The IRP is worth 17.5% of the entire A-level. Now, here is an example of the speaking card. There are 3 questions at the bottom of the card which your teacher has to ask you. However, your teacher will also ask follow-up questions throughout. And to mimic a real conversation, you must ask at least 2 questions of your own to your teacher during the exam. To keep up on your Spanish during Year 11 and during the summer holidays, you should be consuming lots of Spanish media. YouTube videos from channels such as Dreaming Spanish are genuinely an amazing way to steadily learn new vocabulary. If you are serious about doing the subject for A-level, then studying Spanish should just become a hobby. Secondly, you should also keep up to date on your grammar to keep practicing. There is a website that I will link below that has verb conjugation practice in lots of different tenses. Also, You should purchase any needed textbooks during the summer. Now, how to go about revising this subject. There are some YouTube videos that cover different parts of the A-level, and there are lots of videos that teach the general grammar of Spanish. But unfortunately, because Spanish is one of the lesser chosen subjects, there aren't a lot of A-level specific videos. However, in the future I will hopefully be posting my own revision videos, so fingers crossed this channel turns into one of the resources that you can use to study. For literature, there are study guides on Amazon for the different texts that have quotes and character analysis and exam practice, etc. And finally, to learn vocabulary, flashcards are always a great way. I recommend digital flashcards on Quizlet or Anki. With all that covered, I'd like to add that for me, Spanish is my most enjoyable and easiest subject. This will of course differ from person to person, and it really does depend on your teachers, and as the class size is going to be very small, the other students in your class can make or break the enjoyment of your lessons. If you really love Spanish at GCSE, then I would say it is a no-brainer to pick it for A-level. You can always drop it or change it for another subject if you don't like it. I would generally recommend you pick 4 A-levels if you are unsure, as you can easily drop one at the beginning of year 12. That's all from me. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, then please drop them in the comments below. I'd love to know if you are or aren't doing Spanish and why. And good luck with your GCSE exams year 11.